Hello and welcome to Inside the Americas. Here's what's coming up. Mr. Biden takes a step closer to becoming Mr. President. The Democrat secures enough electoral college votes to have his victory confirmed, with some leading Republicans saying it's now time to move on. Following in the footsteps of the UK, the US and Canada start dishing out vaccines in the hope of curbing, if not stamping out, COVID-19. We've got a special report from Mexico where more is being done to buck the worrying rise of obesity among youngsters. First then, it might have been pushed, tested and threatened, but the US president-elect has told Americans that democracy has proved to be true and strong. Joe Biden has had his triumph in the November election formally confirmed with a total of 306 electoral college votes. That's the same number that his rival Donald Trump secured 4 years ago in a win that he called a landslide. Mr. Biden is, though, now looking to put the past behind him.
The integrity of our elections remains intact. And now it's time to turn the page, as we've done throughout our history, to unite, to heal. As I said in this campaign, I will be president for all Americans.
Well, a growing number of Republicans have decided to now accept Joe Biden's victory, with the Senate Majority Leader even congratulating the Democrats on Capitol Hill. Alex Orcott reports.
It may have taken more than a month, but finally Mitch McConnell has acknowledged Joe Biden's election victory. The Senate Majority Leader ended weeks of silence a day after the Electoral College confirmed the result.
So today I want to congratulate President-elect Joe Biden. The President-elect is no stranger to the Senate. He's devoted himself to public service for many years. I also want to congratulate the Vice President-elect, our colleague from California, Senator Harris. Beyond our differences, all Americans can take pride that our nation has a female vice president-elect for the very first time.
On his way to Georgia, where the battle for the Senate is ongoing, Joe Biden gave thanks to his longtime sparring partner.
I had a good conversation with Mitch McConnell today. I called him to thank him for the congratulations. Told him, although we disagree on a lot of things, there's things we can work together on. We've always been straight with one another, and we agreed we'd get together sooner than later. And I'm looking forward to working with him.
There's still no sign of concession from Donald Trump himself, however, who continues to make unfounded allegations of widespread voter fraud. Mitch McConnell's statement making no visible difference to this position.
I haven't gotten the president's reaction to that yet, but the president, again, is pursuing ongoing litigation, would refer you to the campaign for further.
After Donald Trump, McConnell is the most senior Republican office holder, so more members of Congress from the party are now expected to break ranks with the president, allowing for a smoother transition process.
To a landmark moment over the Atlantic now, Sandra Lindsay, a nurse who works in the intensive care unit at Long Island Jewish Medical Center in New York City, has become the very first American to receive a coronavirus vaccine. But it's not just frontline workers in the US that are being protected from COVID-19, with an inoculation campaign also greenlit north of the border in Canada. With more, here's Monty Francis.
In Washington, D.C., some of the first healthcare workers vaccinated against COVID-19 proudly rolled up their sleeves. In addition to protecting themselves and their patients, many wanted to set an example for the public.
And I encourage everyone to do the research, talk to your doctor, talk to your provider, and make the decision that's best for you. But I really, really encourage people vaccinating.
The objective is to vaccinate 20 million Americans by the end of December, then an additional 100 million more by the end of March. In the first phase, the most exposed or vulnerable, healthcare workers and residents of retirement homes. Then the rest of the population, with the exception of pregnant women, children under the age of 16 who were not tested during clinical trials, and those with severe allergies. Some lawmakers and members of the Trump administration have already jumped to the front of the line.
No, that's it?
That's it.
Oh, come on. That didn't hurt at all.
The U.S. is spending at least $11 billion to carry out the largest vaccination campaign in the country's history. The initial doses are of the vaccine produced by Pfizer and BioNTech.
At 95% efficacy, this vaccine is extraordinarily effective at protecting you from the virus.
While highly effective, the vaccine has presented logistical challenges. It has to be stored at minus 70 degrees, making transporting and storing it an arduous task. It's also a challenge faced by Canada, which started its vaccination campaign this week. The first in line was a 78-year-old woman in Montreal.
I hope everyone gets the vaccine because it's important to continue living. Because living like this is not good. I stayed in my room for 8 months.
According to a recent survey, a majority of Canadians want to be vaccinated, 86% compared to 61% in the U.S. Doctors say at least 70% of the world's population needs to take the vaccine for the pandemic to come to an end.
Okay, let's move on now to our number of the week, and that number is 73. That's the percentage of Mexico's population which is overweight, with 29% of the nation said to be actually obese. That's one of the highest rates in the world. In one southern state, authorities have decided to outlaw the sale of junk food to minors with the aim of slimming down youngsters. France 24's team on the ground has sent this.
This is a hit song in Mexico. And there, right at the start, crisps, beers and sugar drinks in plain sight. Popular singer Janet Valenzuela has more than 2 million fans on social media, and she often features candy or ultra-processed foods in her posts.
I just like it. The brands don't ask me to promote them. I always just try to be as natural as possible on my social media. And well, I've always loved junk food.
It's too bad junk food is Mexico's #1 health problem. 73% of Mexicans are overweight. To the extent that in Oaxaca, a rural southern state of Mexico, the government has banned the sale of junk food and sugar drinks to minors. Luis is 14, and he's been denied snacks in a store.
They asked me how old I was and to see my ID, but I didn't have it with me. So they told me to leave the snacks on the counter because I wasn't allowed to buy them. So I ended up asking my older brother to go buy them for me.
This new ban has turned into a torment for the teenager, who is bombarded with the advertisement for food he can't buy.
I keep seeing ads for crisps, ice cream, or cookies. Now it's making me want to have some even more.
Congresswoman Magali Lopez is behind the ban, which was voted in August. It took months of wrestling with the food industry to pass it.
Our children are too young to understand how badly these products will affect their health. And children happen to be ideal targets for the food industry. They're the perfect customers.
As Mexican kids are still homeschooled because of the coronavirus pandemic, their screen time has skyrocketed. Banning the sale of junk food to minors is a first step, but curbing child malnutrition will be a long-fought battle.
Next, beautiful, unique and a miracle. That's how one stargazer described the somewhat fleeting spectacle in the skies above Chile and Argentina as the moon briefly blocked out the sun. Thousands defied COVID-19 social distancing rules to catch the solar eclipse, knowing that, in Chile at least, the next one won't be for another 28 years. Olivia Bizot reports.
The solar eclipse in all of its rare glory. For just over 2 minutes, people in parts of Chile and Argentina were treated to this view. Up until moments before, heavy rain had threatened to block the solar spectacle in Chile, but at the last moment, the clouds parted.
Spectacular. The truth is that it was a unique experience. The fact that it was cloudy allowed me to watch it without glasses. I've not seen any other before. This was my first, and it was a beautiful, beautiful experience.
Despite restrictions on movement imposed by authorities to slow the spread of coronavirus, hundreds of thousands of people flocked to the 90-kilometre-long stretch that fell under the eclipse's shadow. An astrology camp was set up here, in Patagonia, Argentina, to provide tourists with a front view seat of the spectacle. But because of travel restrictions, it mainly welcomed locals.
When there was uncertainty about whether or not the groups could come, we changed the project so that tourists from the region, from Argentina and neighboring countries, if they could come, could take part in the event itself in the same way.
Total eclipses are a rare phenomena when the moon passes between the Earth and the Sun, casting a shadow that plunges the daylight into darkness. Latin America will have to wait until 2048 before experiencing its next total eclipse.
And we end this programme with something Christmas related. Now, traditionally speaking, Santa Claus is meant to come down the chimney and pop gifts under our trees. But in Peru, Santa and his elves have been doing a spot of crime fighting. In the suburbs of Lima, anti-drugs police, dressed as Father Christmas and an elf, have raided a drugs den and detained a suspected trafficker and 4 alleged members of his gang. And that Yuletide raid brings this edition of Inside the Americas to an end, but France 24's coverage of the latest international news continues.